Hi, this is Shane Morton with IndieExpress.com, and I'm here with Russ Pond, the director of FISSURE. So, how did this project first come to you?
Well, actually, what we did is, I'm a corporate producer, so I produce commercials and trade show videos and music videos. And back in 2003, I wanted to tell like stories, narratives, but I knew that I wasn't quite equipped experientially to go out and make a feature film. So I thought, I'm going to start making some short films to learn the process, to learn, acting and casting and all the things you need to know about production. And did that for about 3 years. Had done about 5 short films, but in 2005, my son and I did a short film, and it ended up winning an Audience Choice Award at a festival in San Antonio. And so that's when I said, you know what, it's time to move on to feature films, and that's when we started that process about 2 years ago.
And did you go out searching for a script or a story, or did one just, sometimes scripts just magically appear at the right time? Is that what happened with FISSURE?
Well, it's an interesting story because what I wanted to do is I knew I wanted to do a feature. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to write a quick story because I love to write and love to tell stories. So I sat down to start to write. It's hard. Writing is hard. I mean, to do it right, to structure it right, to get the dialogue natural is a lot of work. And at that time, I didn't want to put that much work into it. So I said, all right, let's stop this. Let's go out and just find a script, something that's already written, already developed. And so I put a query on the internet, and I said, all right, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a low-budget script, no big explosions and period pieces and, a lot of computer graphics. And I want a redeeming story. That's kind of just the nature of the stories I like to tell. The good guys win, the bad guys lose, the hero gets the girl. And so we posted this on the internet, and I started just sending out blasts to screenwriters forums. In 7 days, we received 450 submissions. Yeah, and I told them, I said, don't send me the script because there ain't no way I'm going to be reading your script. I said, send me a synopsis and a log line and the genre. So, for all you writers out there, learn to write really good synopsis and log lines because that's what caught my attention. And going through all 450, FISSURE rose to the surface because it hit all these criteria. And it was one of those stories that I was reading. And as I got to page 10, I'm like, what's going on here? And I kept reading, and by page 20, I'm thinking, what is going on here? And then it clicked. I thought, you know what? If I can translate that to screen, man, it's going to be a great story.
It seems definitely a story about a man's redemption, and on a very personal scale. With the whole essence of time in your film really intrigues me because don't want to, I guess, can't really talk about that in too much detail, but what does, like, for the film, it seems like time plays a key component. Were you worried about shooting in some kind of order because of that, or did it really complicate the shooting, or at least the planning for yourself?
Well, it was, I've had people tell me, for your first feature film, this was way too much for you to do. You shouldn't do this. The continuity is too much of a challenge. There's so many elements of the story, like you said, that are discontinuous in the story timeline. The main character, he goes through what is in his perspective this continuous timeline, but everything else around him is broken up and disjointed. And how do you tell that story? How do you tell it in a manner that that the audience can be pulled into it, but not reveal too much, and you only reveal certain layers at certain times, and you don't give away too much here, and you have to pace things there. And it was, I just remember reading that going, yikes, how are we going to do that? Oh, how are we going to light that? Oh my goodness, how are we going to cut that? And it was a challenge. It was a huge challenge, but what a fun little story. I was so excited to get this. Nicholas Turner, who wrote the story, did a phenomenal job in structuring the story, and we were able to take it. We actually went through about 10 different revisions, and the reason we went through so much is the script was a little bit of a darker ending, not quite the happy-go-lucky ending that I wanted, and so we changed the ending to where it became more of a redemptive story, and after 10 revisions, we were able to get something going that was really exciting.
How long? Let's talk about the shoot real fast. How long were you in pre-production on it, and how long were you in production and post?
Okay, we were pre-production was right about a month and a half, and then the actual production was 18 days. We shot the entire movie in 3 6-day weeks, Monday through Saturday, about 12 to 14 hours a day, and 18-day weeks. To which I said I will never do that again as a producer because it was brutal. I mean, it was fun for me because there was this, this kind of kid in a candy shop. I was just having a blast and having fun. So, we had 6 weeks of pre-production, had 3 weeks of production, and then we wrapped in March, last March exactly. And what we did is I just kind of brought the footage into my home computer and just started chopping it up. It took me about 4 months to edit the feature.
So you produced, directed, and edited it yourself in a film that goes very nonlinear at times, and you're still sane, and it's premiering tonight.
They say I'm still sane. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, actually, it premiered last Friday, so tonight's the second screening at the Magnolia, and I was excited yesterday to find out that it has sold out as well. So we're going to have another packed house, which is a blast, because I love to go in there and just watch the crowd and see if they jump at the right time, or if they laugh at the right time, or if they gasp at the right time. And it's such a rewarding experience.
Well, and this is a kind of hometown crowd for you, too.
It is, right, and I think that's why we packed the house out. It's, all my cast and crew and all their friends and all their relatives and everybody, so it's good.
It's a very Texas film in terms of the cast, but a lot of them are, of course, actors that, you will see from TV shows and other films because they are, in L.A. some, too. How did you get James McDonald on board?
It's interesting because we had gone out to some pretty big name talent for the lead role, and what happened is I'm a first-time director. They don't want anything to do with me. There were no other big names attached. They don't want to take the risk of being the only name. But I had a friend in L.A., Rand Cheshire. He's one of our associate producers. He said, "Oh, you got to meet this neighbor of mine, James McDonald. He's a great actor. He's in everything." He is. And so I thought, okay. So I pulled him up on IMDb, and I thought, oh man, he's got a good detective on the edge look, and he's kind of a mix between kind of Bruce Willis and Kiefer Sutherland. He's got this kind of edge about him. It was excellent. And so I met with James, great guy. I mean, just an amazing guy. And he did audition, and I said, man, you're in, you're good to go. And he was phenomenal. I mean, you haven't seen this yet, but of the 18 days, typically your lead will come in, maybe 2 weeks out of the 3 weeks. The nature of this story is you're experiencing everything in this movie from his perspective as he's moving through this house and discovering things. He was on set 18 of the 18 days, working 12 to 14 hours a day. I mean, we brutalized him. I mean, I'm surprised he's still talking to me. But, he came out to AFI on the opening weekend and just said, Russ, it was a wonderful experience. And he over-delivered. He was phenomenal. And he's the right guy. In fact, the writer, after watching FISSURE, was James kind of the guy you had in mind when you wrote this script? And he goes, I can't imagine anybody else playing the lead now.
That's awesome. And what are you planning on doing next? Are you in pre-production on something now?
Well, what we've got, my biggest commitment right now is to my investor to get the best distribution deal possible for FISSURE. So that's been my focus, the last few months as we finished up this project. But at the same time, I've got 2 projects right now in development that I'm really excited about. One is a romantic comedy that's kind of been on my heart for about 4 years. Really excited about that. And then there's another one that's a bit of a supernatural sci-fi thriller. And that one right now I'm leaning towards a little bit more as the one that I kick off this summer because FISSURE has a lot of momentum right now, and this kind of falls within the same vein, the same genre as FISSURE. So maybe I want to leverage some of that momentum to kick off this little sci-fi thriller.
Well, congratulations. I look forward to seeing it and to seeing what you do next. This has been Shane Morton with IndieExpress.com with Russ Pond from FISSURE.